Today's episode is brought to you by Starbucks Ready-to-Drink Coffee.
Tune in to Moments That Matter with uplifting boost of Starbucks Mocha Frappuccino chilled coffee drink. Available now, online, or wherever you buy groceries.
I hate gift giving and receiving.
Receiving gifts is so weird. What do you say, thank you?
This is Coffee Convos with Kale Lowry and Lindsay Chrisley.
I really want you to be in your feels, Kale.
That does not interest me whatsoever.
I feel very attacked by you.
A spirited discussion about motherhood, friendship, family, and life in the public eye.
I'm just not with the fakery anymore.
There's a fakery bakery around here.
Here's Kale and Lindsay.
Hello, Lindsay.
This is not the vibes that was just on our text messages.
Oh, it's not. Well, I love that color on you. That color is such a fucking vibe. Where is that hoodie from right now?
Specifically Nike.
Okay. So I'm not gonna be ordering that, actually. I'm trying not to spend money right now.
Wait, first of all, welcome to Coffee Convos podcast. I'm so glad that you're back
in the United States.
Back in the United States, back in the same time zone. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with your life.
I was 12 hours ahead of you guys. And I literally told my kids as soon as I got home and I walked in the door and I was like, oh my God. And I like hugged everybody. And I was like, listen, I'm not giving you your presents, like your souvenirs, until I shower. I had been in the same clothes for 35 hours with traveling and heat and everything else. And I was like, and sweating through a fucking airport. I was like, I love you guys to pieces, but we cannot take this any further until I shower and wash my ass.
You know what? I don't really have a desire to travel internationally. That's something interesting about me. I don't know if we've ever talked about it before. Outside of Mexico, because I love going to Mexico. Outside of that, I have zero interest. And that even furthered me having any type of interest in going because I shower 3 times a day.
Oh, in Thailand, when I tell you that I showered 3 times a day, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not fucking kidding you. I did not play around because that heat is something different. Like, I think it's just being closer to the equator. Speaking of Mexico, I got Summer. Do you guys, I don't know whoever's listening, if you guys remember Summer, she is now an attorney and we've had her up multiple times on Coffee Combos podcast. Are you going to her wedding?
I got the invitation too.
I got the save the date and I texted her and I've never been to Cabo.
Oh, I have. It's very vibey. I feel like it's like the perfect place to go with a significant other or like, you know.
Like a vacation.
Yeah, like a vacation for sure.
Because for anyone who's listening who wants to go to Mexico and hasn't already been there, personally, I hate Cancun. Cancun is very much the way that I think of it is like where in the United States where locals go on like vacation. Like for me, it would be like Dewey Beach or Rehoboth Beach. That's how Cancun is to me. I just don't think it's like as pretty as like Tulum or...
That's so offensive. Because I love Cancun. I just feel like you haven't stayed at the right place.
I will say, if you're going to go to Cancun, you have to go to the Moon Palace. And I went and stayed at Moon Palace because Lindsay told me about Moon Palace. That one and possibly the new Nickelodeon resort. It would be the only 2 places that I would like in Cancun because I feel like Cancun is very overrated and everyone goes there, but people need to look at like Tulum, Cabo, and like other places in Mexico.
Also, those are 2 places that you would do a vacation.
Okay. Makes sense.
Like, I feel like I'm not going to, actually Will's been ragging on me lately because he has Jackson this spring break. And so remember I took him to Florida and I was just like living my best life last spring break and such a good time. And now the FOMO is like starting to sink in and nothing's even happened yet. But Will keeps saying I'm taking him to Tulum. And the only reason he's saying that is because he knows that like I desperately want to go. I just don't have like said bae to like go with.
Right.
know?
Gotcha. Well, my said bae doesn't have a passport and also has no desire to travel internationally. So that's where we're at with that.
Maybe Elijah and I can travel together since neither of us want to go international.
Like he doesn't even want to go back to Hawaii after he lived there.
Hawaii is like one of my favorite places ever to go.
Same.
Can I show you this that I got today when I was like perusing through Target? Mm-hmm. And I want to know if they have them at yours.
What is that?
Vanilla cake pops.
I haven't been to Target in like at least a month.
Like in their bakery. It's fresh baked.
We don't have a bakery in ours.
Huh?
We don't have a bakery in our
I think
Target.
everyone has it. Do y'all have groceries?
Yeah.
Yeah, then I think you have a bakery. But like, this is 4 cake pops. I thought this would be perfect for like Jackson's school lunch to like put a little like sweet surprise in there.
Oh, that's so cute.
Because he loves cake pops.
Yeah, my kids fucking love cake pops from Starbucks.
Yeah, but they're kind of expensive and it's like not enough.
$3 for a cake pop. It should be like $1.
And it's like literally the size of like a nugget.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Outside of that, I need to tell you, I'm making spaghetti sauce when we get off of this recording.
Like homemade.
Yeah, got all this stuff. I got this new pot and Kristen was like laughing at me because I didn't know how to say it. Tell me if you know like the brand, and I'm probably going to say it wrong, but it's like Le Cres, like something. Like,
what? What did you just say?
It's like Le Cresette or something like that. Haven't you seen those pots?
No.
Mm-mm. Yes, you have. Everybody wants one, and they're just like expensive. And I splurged and got one from QVC. They had it on a deal.
You did. Oh, Le Creuset. No, I've never heard of this. I'm looking it up right now.
They had it on a deal, and I've been wanting one for like a really long time. And I bought a dupe from like Sam's Club a couple of years ago, and it just like, it wasn't as cute. And it's like really about the aesthetic. So I got one and I'm going to make spaghetti sauce in it today.
First of all, one of them is so expensive, but they are really pretty. They're really pretty.
They're really pretty. So I'm going to do that. And then, you know how I had promised that I was going to like do the sweet tea thing on here? I have a special guest who is making the sweet tea and sent a 1 and 50-second video to me this morning, bright and early.
Love
so
that.
For anybody who is listening to this, you can find that on, I believe it's going to be on Reels on Coffee Combos podcast, Perfect. Instagram.
Am I allowed to ask how your recording with Nanny went?
Well, you just busted the bubble. Nanny is coming on the Southern Tea. It's going to be a couple of weeks before it airs because we did a whole video element. Very cool. The only thing I wasn't a fan of was working on a Saturday. Also not a fan of like keeping big secrets like that. Great grandma advice. She thinks she has the best advice. She tells us that she has the best advice.
She probably does.
I think that she's insane.
Did you record in person, like for the video element, or is it like this?
No, we like recorded in person. I did. I had multiple guests on that Saturday. And so it was a lot and I was exhausted by the end. And I told her, I was like, listen, like we're going to get in this vehicle and you specifically aren't going to talk.
Not you specifically.
And like, I am going to get you wings and I'm going to get you a salad and you're going to go home and you're going to take a shower and you're going to eat that. And then you're going to rest. And she was like, honestly, I got the best sleep at your house ever.
Oh, she stayed at your house?
Yeah, but my house is so peaceful. And I don't just say that because it's my house, but I like really have like a peaceful existence in this house.
Yeah.
I have manifested like this peaceful existence here. And like, I don't like chaos in this house. I don't like dysfunction in this house. Like I'm very weird about it. I'm very weird about letting specific people in here. Like there's people that I have literally told, like, I don't like your energy and I don't want it in my home.
Well, I mean, I think honesty is the best policy. So, I mean, even if that sounds a little abrasive, I feel like that's your space and you should protect it at all costs. That's your peace, your space, all of that. So protect it.
Do you feel at peace at home with as many children as you have?
Never.
But like, where do you go to get that peace? Because like mine is
to Thailand. No, there is a sense of peace in my house with the chaos, but it is a different kind of peace than I think you would think. Like when my kids are all getting along and like we have a good day and a productive day and everyone's tired at the end of the day, that is very peaceful and everyone's just kind of like chill. That's peaceful for me, but what you're describing as peace is not like what I would say is peace for my house.
Okay, I need to ask you this question because I definitely feel more at peace with Jackson's existence in this home than I do. I know he's perfectly safe and fine with Will, but knowing that like he's under this roof
Yeah.
and like I can see, hear, like physically, like be with him.
Yeah.
I feel like more at peace.
When Lux and Creed are away from me, I'm not at peace at all. Like, at all.
Do you have anxiety just like the whole time?
Well, yeah, especially while I was gone on this trip specifically because I tried to make Chris allegedly was going on a trip, which is fine because our birthdays are 6 days apart. He said he wasn't going to be able to take the kids for the first half of my trip. So I made arrangements for them to go with his mom. And then he lost his fucking mind. So I canceled with his mom and, stuff like that.
Okay. Two things from that. Will and I have a very like fluid line of communication. Like we're favorites on each other's phones. And if something's going on, like I immediately alert him or he immediately alerts me. Or like if he's going to be late to school, for example, he'll be like, hey, there was like an accident or hey, there was like traffic. If you do get a notification, like that's what it is, but like everything's fine. And like vice versa. I do the exact same thing. Do you feel that that is more common in co-parenting or not? Because you have 3 different situations to compare it to.
I think so that's usually that's what Joe and I and Javi and I do. I think a majority like across the board for other people, I don't think that's typical. I think people that have like a good, healthy co-parenting have that, but that's more fewer and far between. I'm not saying it doesn't happen at all and we're the only ones that have that, but I do think that it's less common.
Okay. And then I have a friend who went through a divorce, has kids, and when he has his kids, the mom doesn't talk to the kids. And when she has them, he doesn't. And it said that it makes it like an easier transition because it's kind of new. And so when they hear from the other parent, they want to like be with that parent or they don't understand. We've never operated that way. Did y'all ever do that? Or you said that Chris, like you don't talk to the kids.
Chris won't answer my text or calls if he has them. Like, so I stopped trying because he doesn't answer. But, if I ever called Joe and talked to Isaac, like he would allow it now that they have their own phones. Like I text them and FaceTime them and whatever. But that's how it's always been with them. Like there was never a time where I didn't have access to them. All right, let's talk about hair really quick. I actually didn't bring any hot tools with me to my trip because it just was too much and the heat was insane. But typically when I'm at home, I curl my hair several times a week. But from curling and straightening to hairspray and over bleaching, which is something that I do, we've all done some serious damage to our hair over the years. Let's not remind ourselves of this. But if you're like me and struggle to have longer hair and thicker hair after years of damage, then give Vegamore a try. It's worth it. It's transformed my hair. They have a holistic approach to hair health, and they use smart botanicals that promote visibly thicker, fuller, longer looking hair.
With the help from Vegamore, you can get healthy, beautiful looking hair without the use of harmful chemicals. I love that all their products are cruelty-free and never contain parabens or hormones. I've been using the GRO Revitalizing Shampoo and Conditioner Kit for quite some time now, and it works really, really well to create visibly thicker hair and improve hair from the roots. You just massage the shampoo into your scalp for 60 seconds, follow up with a conditioner. It's just as simple as that. And having a go-to conditioner and shampoo is a game changer for overall hair health. So I love it. And with Vegamore, there is no risk. So you guys can try it because they have a 90-day money-back guarantee. But with 91% of customers saying they saw visibly thicker hair with Vegamore in just 3 months, you're not going to want to run out. Don't let the damage of the past hold your hair back. See your hair's full potential with Vegamore. Go to vegamore.com/coffee convos and use code coffee convos to save 20% on your first order. That's vegamor.com/coffee convos, code coffee convos to save 20% at vegamore.com/coffee convos. So in my parenting plan, we have a whole clause in there about the communication. And I know we talk a lot about parenting plans on here, have before, and have on the Kitty Gang Telegram, like private chat.
Mm-hmm.
It said in my parenting plan that you have a right to communicate with your child one time a day within certain hours, and that the other parent has to allow you the form of communication that you choose. So whether that be a phone call, a FaceTime, or whatever, they have to allow that.
I have that in mind with Chris as well, but he does not follow that.
The hardest thing co-parenting, in my opinion, are the holidays and like birthdays, because in my family, we always celebrate holidays and birthdays big.
Yeah.
So if I was dealing with that, I don't know how I would cope. Like, for example, even Easter coming up, I had text Will because I wanted to do something special for Jackson. And I said, hey, like, I know you have him for spring break. Like, are you guys going to be home so that I can celebrate Easter with him? Not asking for him on Easter Day or anything, but is there any alternative day that like maybe I could get him for a couple of hours, do an egg hunt at my house? I'm trying to put together like one of those little styled picnics. I just think they're so cute. And
they are so cute.
His little Easter basket and set up like yard games and stuff. And yeah, Will came back with 2 dates. He was like, this one or this one.
I wish all co-parenting was that easy. So in my co-parenting plan with Chris, it says, number 16, communication. Both parents shall be entitled to reasonable communication with the children while the children are in the other parent's care. The court notes that due to the ages of the children, the court believes daily or every other day telephone contact is reasonable. And like I said, there was a time where I was calling and he just wouldn't answer and wouldn't call back. So I stopped because I'm not going to make myself upset. I'm not going to argue about it. Yeah.
Okay, wait. So we need to get to this topic that was in the Facebook group.
Yes. So I saw this and I tagged Kristen. It is, somebody posted this. If you're a stay-at-home parent, how do you feel accomplished every day? And I'm going to go back and I want to read the comments because that is a really good question. And I think part of my experience as a stay-at-home mom, I have always been like a work-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. Basically since I've had Lincoln, with
working
teen mom and working girly. And so part of the reason I went back to college to get my degree was because I wasn't fulfilled. Like, yeah, I love being a stay-at-home mom, but that didn't fill my cup all the way up. And so that was part of the reason why I went back to school to get my degree, because I just needed something. I needed something for me.
It honestly was a big thing at the beginning of Chrisley Knows Best, because Will and I had made a decision that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom with Jackson until he started kindergarten. Mm-hmm. And my parents, not that they really voiced issue, but it was more of like coming from a concerning place. At the time and before therapy, I probably would have said they were bitching me out and trying to control my life and, whatever. But I think it was my dad had been there with 2 kids and didn't want to see me do same things that he did that didn't end up being fulfilling or fruitful.
Right.
And I do think that you have to be very careful if you are a stay-at-home mom to not lose your identity solely in motherhood and your child specifically, not just motherhood, but like your kid, because that is, my dad always told me since I've had Jackson that I am with Jackson the way he was with me. And he found fulfillment in me. And that was a heavy burden to place on a child.
Agreed. And I don't think that parents even realize the heaviness and and I guess the seriousness of that. Like it's kind of like when people say that they have a child to love them unconditionally. And like, I've been there too. Like, I think there was a part of me at one point that was like, well, I'm going to have Isaac because that's that's a child to love me unconditionally, something that I never had. But to expect that from a child that didn't ask to be born, like, they don't owe us shit. They don't owe us anything. And so that is a very heavy burden to place on a child. I definitely agree with you there. So some of the comments on here on this thread, someone said, you don't, LOL, you just get up and keep pushing on. Like, That's sad. That makes me very sad for people, because even if it's self-care on a Sunday where you're taking a bath and you're getting fulfilled in other ways, then, don't include your child. I feel like that's so important. Someone else said, well, I totally decided I'm changing the narrative this year. Instead of me being home to support my husband's career, I'm looking at it as he works to support me staying home. I run this shit. He's sacrificing being gone, working to support my life. He's literally the best man ever and has never acted controlling or anything. So the feeling of me being home and feeling unaccomplished was a me issue for sure, regardless of what was done around the house. But this is my bad bitch era. And even if I do nothing around the house, I feel accomplished. And I feel like that is all about perspective. If that fills her cup and that makes her feel good, then that's great. But for me, I just didn't feel like staying at home was enough.
When I was doing it, I felt fulfilled because it's what I knew, until I started incorporating, filming and then influencing and podcasts, whatever. I realized that I'm not only a mother. Like, that's not the only title that I can have, is like a housekeeper, a mother, a short order cook, like whatever. Like, I have to do things that also fulfill me. And I think that a lot of people miss the boat on that because they aren't fulfilling themselves and then wonder why they can't fill the cups of other people because their cup's not full.
Period. Well,
I know that you had been asked hundreds of times on just the various videos that you posted from your trip,
where my kids
where your kids were.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important to realize when you're co-parenting, even though you did, in fact, give up 2 days to make your trip be able to work so that those other days were usable days for you. I think it's very important to realize that the dads are not babysitters.
No, they're other parents.
Yeah. And so I think that there is slightly a double standard there. Guaranteed that if dads were out here posting all over everywhere, their trip in Thailand, they wouldn't be asked the same questions that you were.
If you're new to cannabis or you're an old pro, there's no denying that many of the products on the market seem a little iffy at best. And so when you want to relax, iffy is the last way you want to feel. And I never want to recommend something that makes you feel iffy. So Mood puts an end to the guessing games. It's 100% federally legal, Delta 8 and Delta 9 THC. You can have shipped straight to you. No doctors, no waiting, just affordable, legal THC.
Sourced from small family farms and grown organically, the experts at Mood have tested and tailored different strains for specific moods. Energized for when you want to seize the day, creative to get inspired and mentally stimulated, focused, perfect for getting in the zone, and other moods like euphoric, erotic, sleepy, chill, social, body soother. Plenty of versatile products to go with whatever mood you're going for.
Love that. So if you're ready for a good time without the guesswork, order your THC products from Mood today. And for 20% off your first order and free gummies, go to hellomood.com and use promo code Coffee Combos. That's hello, MOOD.com, promo code Coffee Combos for 20% off your order and free gummies. So did you know that March 21st is National Single Parents Day?
I did not know that.
Well, it's about time that single parents get the recognition they deserve and be celebrated. One way to celebrate single parents is to encourage them to have some time for themselves, and that's where STIR comes in. We just talked about this. Dating as a single parent does not mean that you're looking for a new co-parent. Most single parents are just looking to have fun, meet new people without any pressure or judgment.
Did you know that more than half of all single parents have had an amazing makeout session in the past year?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, I didn't know that either until I heard about STIR. An amazing makeout session sounds pretty incredible right now. Also, single parents rank higher on emotional maturity and the ability to have a work-life balance, which I think is really interesting as well.
Well, STIR is where you can relax and be yourself, not just a parent and snack supplier. Your kids go to bed at 8, so you actually don't have to anymore. STIR is the app designed for parents who just happen to be single. Download STIR or tell your single friends to try it out. Let me read just one or two more comments on this thread. Let's see. Katie said, I never miss a workout at Burn Boot Camp. Doesn't matter if I slept like crap. I tell myself I have to show up and do my best. This sets the tone for my day, and it's just one thing I do for myself. Plus it's a healthy example for my kids and a positive community. And I love that. Like, what a fulfillment looks like for one person or one parent is not going to be, it's not a one size fits all. So if her workout every single day is her, something that fills her cup, then I don't knock it. Brittany says, I like to make a to done list in my planner. I write down what I've done as I go, that way I don't focus on the things I didn't get to, and I can look at all the things I've accomplished that day. And I'll make a top 5 list for the whole week, so I have an idea of super important things to get done without focusing too much if I didn't get it done today. So I love some of these things that they're like little things. They're attainable. They are realistic. And I love that. Like, I don't think that we should all like plan, to go on a trip every 6 months or, plan to have a girls' night every other weekend. Like, that's maybe not realistic for some people, but I like realistic things that help you feel accomplished.
Both of those moms, I definitely, the first one I can relate to about the workout. Like, to me, I was just literally right before this recording, I was just talking to my therapist about constants in my life. And every day, Monday through Friday of the work week, I either go to the gym or I go to Pilates, and it's how I start my day. I feel like my day is completely off if I don't get to do that. But again, I do have a school age child, and then Will has him 2 days out of the week. So it's much more obtainable for me than it might be for some moms who might just be single moms that have children who are like preschool age. That was the hardest age ever, when their schedule is consistently inconsistent and you only have small windows of the day to like get stuff done.
Yeah.
I felt very like not accomplished when Jackson was a preschooler.
I agree. I think I wholeheartedly, because when they're babies, I feel like they're on and off sleeping so much. Mm-hmm. Once they're, toddlers and then preschool age, it is so hard. And we've talked about it before, like, with them only going, 2.5 hours for that preschool curriculum program. And that's, that's what Creed's in right now. So it's really, really difficult. I do want to also mention that before my year-long battle with, everything that I was going through, I used to read every content trip that we went on for coffee combos, or any time I would fly would be a time for me to read. That was like my me time. And there was a period where I was flying 1 or 2 weeks out of every single month. And so I was able to read 2 books on my trip. And just like when I went to Hawaii after my divorce, I feel like this was also like a milestone in my life, getting through the depression and like, first of all, like making it through that. Mm-hmm. And then also just kind of resetting my life. It was something where I like reflected a lot. And I think when I was reading, I was also thinking like, I want to make more time to read and less time scrolling aimlessly and endlessly on my phone. Putting my phone down, like we've talked about before, and I've never been able to do it. One, I think that the reason why I'm spending so much money on Amazon, and also why I struggle comparing myself to other people, is because I'm constantly on social media and I never get off. I need to just make time to do my posts and interact with a few people every time I get on and get the fuck off. One, so I can read more. 2, it would help with like my vocabulary, probably my brain fog, my mom memory. And also I just feel fulfilled when I'm reading instead of scrolling.
I saw this one post one time, and it was talking about stopping the scroll and how you need to be very mindful about all of the things that you are exposing yourself to by constantly scrolling. And it's like you're jumping from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. I was saying this to my therapist, that every single person on their phone has a pattern when they literally go off of the lock screen. You have a pattern that you probably are not even mindful of, that you immediately start when your phone unlocks. Mine is text message, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, calendar. That to me is like such a toxic like bounce around, and the amount of exposure of things that you don't need to be exposed to. That's probably not great for your mental health. Like I told you before, there's a lot of people that I personally know that delete the apps one day a week. And then I was talking to one of my girlfriends. I'm not going to say who it is, but she told me that Friday at 5 o'clock, she deletes the apps, like all social media apps, and doesn't re-download them until Monday.
See, I love that. I really fucking love that. I saw a TikTok of a guy talking about how he was coming home from work every day and his kids just wanted his attention and he couldn't put his phone down. And so he was giving like basically half-ass attention to his kids. And so he finally got to a point where he started putting his phone in airplane mode as soon as he comes home, to, give his kids, the attention that they need and to be present and in the moment. And I know that we've talked about this so much, but it really is, it's kind of like therapy in a way that you have to be ready to make that commitment. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about it for so long, but it wasn't until this trip that I realized I was so sick of my phone being in my hand. And I even told Kristen that. I was like, I cannot wait to put my fucking phone down. Mm-hmm. And I feel bad, but I didn't want to text anybody last night. Even Kristen tried calling me and I was like, I'm annoyed right now. Like, I'll call you back later. I didn't end up calling her until today. But it's a lot. And I still think there's ways to capture the moment and we can post another day. Like you can have your phone to take pictures, but you don't need to scroll aimlessly or, things like that and edit the videos later, post them later. That doesn't have to be posted right this fucking second.
Remember when I told you that I did that like on family trips a while ago, that I'll have my phone and I will just like take the photos. And now I haven't been on a family trip in a long time, but they didn't have the focus mode back then. It's so nice. Like I put my phone, you probably see my phone's in focus mode all the time. Like mm-hmm. my notifications are all silenced unless I'm specifically going into like my text messages, then I'm not seeing it. It's not constantly popping up. But I think people that are listening to this that are our generation or younger than us, we've always pretty much had phones and instant access to everything since we've been in high school. And you have to like untrain yourself from falling into those habits. And it's hard. It's really hard. And you have to be very mindful to do it. And that's why I think it's so cool that one of my girlfriends is literally deleting the apps on a Friday and not re-downloading them until Monday. And it's simply to stop doing something that your brain is trained to do, because you've essentially trained your brain to, I'm going on my phone and I'm going to check X, Y, and Z. And it's just part of your habits. And you have to be able to break that habit. And by deleting the app, you have to take an extra step, like a conscious step to go and re-download it to get on it.
Have you ever been like so exhausted or so tired, just from something during the day or, you were on a trip or whatever, and then you get on like TikTok or Instagram and you start scrolling aimlessly and then you're not tired anymore?
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's called when I would do it when I would take a shower and then go to bed and get on my phone and start scrolling TikTok. I now don't do that anymore. Like I scroll like after dinner for whatever I want to see. And then my phone goes into focus mode and I'm not doing that in my bed anymore.
Yeah, because I just stay up. And I mean, I will say this morning it helped me. I was up before don't even get me started on this up before my kids thing. I did that today. And when I tell you it was a fucking game changer for the way that we operated this morning, I hope to be able to put it into action for the rest of the school year, because it literally was a game changer just being up 45 minutes before my kids. I don't know because I'm so tired, which is PCOS and depression and other things, but it was such a game changer and I loved it. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, if I could just read also helps makes me tired as well. So I noticed when I was on my trip or something, I would read in the plane. I would read for a little bit, go to sleep, read for a little bit, go to sleep. And so like, I don't know, that's also helpful instead of being on my phone and scrolling aimlessly and endlessly.
I wish that I could become a reader. Like,
you have to find something that you're interested in. Like I read Girl in Pieces and You'd Be Home Now. They're both by Kathleen Glasgow and they're both under $10. They're fantastic books and you can relate to them regardless. You have to read something that is interesting.
Yeah, because just to be reading, like, remember that one time that I was going to do a book club?
Yes.
And I was like, oh, wait, I remember that I like don't like reading. So like immediately this book club's not going to work out. Okay. You had said that you were going to kind of like go into all of the details about your trip to Thailand on Barely Famous on the episode that'll air this Friday, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so we've talked about Tree Hut time and time again on this podcast, and I just want to tell you that the creators of America's #1 body scrub have just released a new hydrating gel wash. I did get 2 of them.
I did too.
You did? Okay, so
Mhm.
I'll post the ones that I got if you want to post the ones that you got. These are skin quenching lather and they have a long lasting scent, which is something that I've always struggled with other gels and body washes, is that the scent doesn't really linger. It doesn't stay on me. And I'm like, what is the point of this if it doesn't stay? But this one does. All the washes have a matching scrub, which is really nice, made with real sugar, shea butter, and a special 6 oil blend that leaves skin smooth and hydrated.
We know that I love a good hydrating oil, and all the washes are formulated with their hydrating oil complex to plump the skin with renewing antioxidants, rich avocado, kiwi, and orange oils. And this is just like a great addition to your shower routine. So you guys can complete your shower routine with Tree Hut. You can shop at Ulta, Target, and Walmart, online and in store. Check out treehutshea.com/podcast for more details today.
Life moves fast. Starbucks ready to drink coffee delivers an uplifting boost that helps you tune into the moments that matter wherever you are. When I tell you I could not wait to get my hands on a Starbucks after I got home, the first thing I did was drink Starbucks this morning.
I love a good Starbucks. It's Starbucks coffee conveniently packaged for life on the go. Includes a variety of beverages from bottled frappuccino, chilled coffee drink for a pop of flavor, to the bold, smooth taste of nitro cold brew. I am a big fan of the bottled frappuccino, and have been drinking it for years. They have mocha, vanilla, caramel, and coffee. And you guys should be enjoying, like us, every minute with Starbucks ready to drink coffee.
As a mom, my hands are full. You guys know how many kids I have, and I'm always on the go. So there's never enough time in the day to leave and go get Starbucks. But this is nice because I have it on hand and I can keep it in my little mini fridge. So if you guys want to try this, Starbucks coffee ready for right now, shop the full line online or in store wherever you buy groceries.
I had a follow-up that I just wanted to briefly address. Had screenshot it on my phone. A listener of the Southern Tea messaged me this morning and said, I'm glad you addressed the people's comments about the Coffee Combos episode. People were getting a little out of hand and taking personal offense. And from listening to it, I have no idea why they thought you were targeting them and their situation. I was about to leave the Facebook group because I saw about 200 posts about it and wanted to roll my eyes every time. It was taken way out of context, always reading for you and your family.
What is she talking about? Because refresh my memory.
So you and I had covered that TikTok that I found about step parents. And if you have 2 biological parents, should the child be with the other biological parent if other said biological parent can't watch them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I gave my whole perspective and I was solid on that. But got a lot of messages about it. So I covered all of the follow-up on that on Southern Tea this week. So if you guys want to hear that, you can go and listen there. But we're going to do TikTok clock really quick. I saw this TikTok, and how do you say her name, Kale? Adrienne Bailon or
Bailon.
I can't pronounce her last name, but
Adrienne Bailon, I think.
Wasn't she like Cheetah Girl?
Yes.
At one point.
She was also Rob Kardashian's ex-girlfriend.
Okay, so she was reading a fan letter on this TikTok. It had absolutely nothing to do with Rob, so just like wanted to say that. But it was about how her ex ruined. It was titled "My Ex Ruined Me," and it said made her insecure, anxious, untrusting, so hard to trust anyone anymore, gets jealous over everything. She sees and overthinks everything, so insecure with herself. And I feel like through my last breakup, I definitely went through the motions of all of these things. I think that when you find yourself in what I would consider a toxic relationship, it can spew into all other avenues of your life. So like
100%.
it affected things that I didn't even realize, like my
Yep.
sleep, my work productivity, my ability to just like be present in the moment. I'm sure to some extent my parenting, my co-parenting, it's crazy. Like when you find yourself in those types of situations where, in my case specifically, where cheating occurred, it does cause you to go through all of those emotions, to feel insecure, and you have to positive affirmation, I guess, to yourself to like talk yourself out of those feelings. Like, why am I allowing someone to make me feel insecure? Like, what they did to me actually had nothing to do with me, but everything to do with them.
Right. I definitely relate to that. I think that I think that you can date as a parent. I think that there's a healthy way to date even though you're a mom, and then there's unhealthy ways to date when you're a mom. And I have definitely been in a situation where the person was toxic, and I definitely wasn't prioritizing what I should have been prioritizing as in terms of parenting. And Kristen and I have talked about, I didn't really like, he wasn't isolating me from her specifically, but I definitely pulled back on our friendship, whether it was conscious or subconscious. I wasn't the best friend to anybody. I would blow anyone off at, the drop of a hat if this person wanted to see me. And sleep, absolutely. I can't tell you how much sleep I lost, being with someone that was toxic. So it affects every aspect of your life.
And you don't realize it, unfortunately, until you've gone through it. And then
hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah. And then when you start coming out of it, you start seeing little glimpses of things that like you're either getting back or you're, retaking control of. And you're like, wow, like, how did I allow that to happen?
Yeah.
It's the worst.
It's horrible.
And I had seen, kind of like piggybacking off of that, it was something that came up on Instagram, and it was talking about things that you deserve. And it says, repeat after me. I deserve to be in a reciprocated relationship, to feel heard when I express my needs, to be surrounded by functional, healthy relationship as opposed to dysfunctional, to feel good about myself when I am single or in a relationship, to have my boundaries respected, to not be forced to change inherent core parts of me to be accepted, to be with someone who wants to grow and develop themselves alongside me, to make changes that would be beneficial for me, and to be in a relationship where I am not belittled or made to feel small. And I have experienced the negative of all of these things within the past year. And because I did experience so much negative, it's almost like I have an unrealistic mindset now, because I never want to go back to that ever.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like your standards are so much higher now because of what you just went through.
Yes. And I told my therapist that I don't know that I would have identified certain things had I not gone through something bad. Mm-hmm. And it took going through that to identify, like, okay, like, this is actually not what I want. Like, I thought it was, but I really desire just like peace, stability, normalcy, a simple life. Like, it's crazy, like what a bad relationship can do to you. And I don't even mean just as in a bad intimate relationship. This could be like a bad relationship with allowing somebody that's like a friend in your life that is just toxic
draining
to your
you.
existence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I saw that and I was like, I definitely need to share. This was also from the Facebook group. I always love seeing the ones where it is like divulging very heavy information, and it just makes me feel so good, because I know that we've created a community that people feel safe. So it's like a really good feeling. But this person says, any advice for someone seeking to leave a marriage secretly? I have been married for almost 8 years, and we have had a very rocky relationship. I'm to the point now where I am miserable and feel like I can't be myself. My spouse is always criticizing everything I do, and it's exhausting. There's a lot to our story, and while I feel trapped in this marriage, I also feel guilty for wanting a better and happier life without my spouse. They have also said things that made me feel scared to discuss my wants of a divorce. It's a lot for me to bear, and I know that I can't last much longer. Any help would be appreciated.
Get your ducks in a row. Start saving money on the side. I don't care if you have to create a fucking Etsy shop or sell things on eBay or, create a Poshmark account where you're selling some things that you don't want anymore. Have some sort of side income where you're saving it, and go see a lawyer. A lot of them may have free consultations, or if you have to pay for a consultation, they will put it towards your retainer for whatever your divorce retainer will be. And you don't have to tell them during this time that you're doing this, because they're just going to try to manipulate you, scare you, give you anxiety, tell you whatever. I won't even get into things that were said to me. They're not going to change. If you're 8 years into marriage and both of you guys are not dedicated to creating the changes and doing the work, it's never going to get better. It can't just be one-sided. And I'm an advocate for not settling. And it sounds like if you stay, even if he half-ass attempts it, you're going to be settling.
I think it's hard. I've been very much here. I'm not going to say that there was like a bunch of criticism that was going around, so I can't really relate to that. But I do think that when you both get to a place in a relationship where you know that it's pretty much over, there's just no one that's taking the proper steps forward to solidify that decision, that it does become toxic because you're kind of at each other's throat. They're not happy. You're not happy. That is a toxic pattern to get in. And I've said before, I felt trapped in marriage the moment that I got married. And I don't know if I would have maybe still been with Will today had we not married. But the thoughts of like being in something that I couldn't get out was like I felt that I couldn't get out was very overwhelming to me. And I think a lot of people kind of experience that. And when you want out of something and the other person probably wants out too, but they're also probably fearful, they're going to say a bunch of things that they might not necessarily mean, but it's something to say in that moment. That was definitely my experience. And I agree with Kiel. You need to start doing things on the side. That was a scary thing that I did. And I felt like a liar in a sense and a manipulator in a sense, because I knew that I was doing things that was not productive for our marriage. But
you could only say so much and do so much before you hit that line, right? Like, I showed up to marriage counseling sessions by myself. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be an expiration date or a date where you're like, okay, this is it. And I agree. To this day, I feel hypocritical for getting married and divorced in the first place, because when you get married, these vows are supposed to be for fucking ever, like through thick and through thin and through this and through that and through trauma and through, sickness and in health and all of these things. And so we're supposed to work through all of this shit, and then we get divorced. So what was the fucking purpose of saying that we were going to do this forever?
Yep. I actually had an esthetician one time that, I would go and get like my facials monthly or whatever. And she was going through the process that she had a very successful, now ex-husband, but a very successful one. And he was basically doing all the things that you're saying that you kind of experience, like that fear mongering of, if you leave, like this is what's going to happen and your life is going to forever change and, whatever. And she just did small things. Like she would store things at her place of employment. The people who own the place were nice enough to let her go to like TJ Maxx. It was like small stuff, like go to TJ Maxx and get towels for a bathroom or, plates or whatever, and trying to prepare as much as possible for that. There's nothing worse than going through something that is emotionally devastating in a place that you never thought you were going to be at, to go through it emotionally devastating without a plan.
Oh my God. I mean, I told you guys on this podcast before that the first attorney I saw she literally told me to leave her office and stay in the marriage for a little bit longer so that I could get my ducks in a row further. And I think, in that year that I ended up going home before I actually did file, I thought maybe there were glimmers of hope that it could still work. I mean, all the way up through the divorce, I thought there was glimmer. And even afterwards, I thought, okay, maybe there is some glimmer here. There is a silver lining that we could work out. But ultimately, it's like, I was the one in therapy and trying to change. I didn't change right away. And it took me up until now to finally change. But, we both had our faults and we both did what isn't that crazy? Like you just look back and you're like, because obviously I wasn't perfect either. I did my dirt, I did my shit, but I also simultaneously was willing to go to couples counseling, willing to go to therapy, willing to do whatever it took. And so I definitely think that there was more hope for me in trying to make it work.
Mm-hmm. I will say, in both my last situations, marriage and other, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't have continued trying. And, the haters will say, well, you're a quitter, you give up, like whatever. No, I think that it's very important to listen to yourself and realize what your deal breakers are and identify those. And if it truly is a deal breaker, to realize that like that deal is broken. So just be done with it, because there's nothing worse than feeling like something was over. You tried and you put all of this effort into it. And then ultimately you got the same result, right? So there's nothing worse than that feeling.
My old producer, love you, Patrick, he was the one that told me, put an expiration date on it. If things are really rocky and you don't know how much more you can take, put an expiration date on it where it's like essentially like an ultimatums don't always work. They're not great, but it's more of holding yourself accountable and having this point where it's like, if things aren't better by this day next year, I'm done. And up until that, I will have, be putting money in a savings account, or I will be, keeping a storage unit, trying to save things to put into a new place or whatever the case may be, but have an expiration date where you're like, okay, I'm not going to try past this date anymore.
I think that's very wise.
They say you got to know the rules of the game in order to win. And when it comes to boosting your credit score, Kickoff is here to help you do just that. Getting ready for the next step in your life. Maybe you're thinking about buying a new car, renting a new apartment, or buying a house. That's a big first step. But the first step is to have a healthy credit score, and Kickoff can help you take control of your credit so the score doesn't get in the way of your goals. I know this was huge when I was trying to buy my first house. I didn't always have great credit. I wasn't used to any of that.
When you really start adulting, there is nothing more exciting than looking at your credit score and it being good. Like I absolutely love that.
Oh, it's that's the best thing ever.
So if you guys have not heard of Kickoff, Kickoff is the easiest way to build credit, and you can build credit fast. If you have no credit or you just want to boost your score, Kickoff is the #1 credit building app that has helped over 1 million people take control of their credit. You can start building better credit in less than 5 minutes with no credit check, no hidden fees, and no interest. Plans start at just $5 a month, and every on-time payment you make with Kickoff is reported to the major credit bureaus. And when they see healthy habits, you see a credit score boost. You can even set it to auto pay so you can build credit without even thinking about it. And it's truly just the real deal.
So don't let your credit score control you. Go to kickoff.com and start building better credit in less than 5 minutes. Don't put it off. That's KIKOFF.com to take control of your credit right now. Build your credit the easy way right now at kickoff.com.
I'm Lindsay Chrisley. Join me for the Southern Tea. It's a weekly heart-to-heart from this Southern girl and boy mom who's just trying to navigate life. Nothing is off limits. I talk about it all. Life, career, family, motherhood, faith, and everything in between. It's an ongoing conversation, and I can promise you one thing. I'm spilling tea, the whole tea, and nothing but the tea. So listen to and follow the Southern Tea now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts.
One more thing before we do foul play. This was on TikTok, and would love to know everybody's thoughts on it. I have big ones. When it says, when I tell people I had my husband sign a contract agreeing that I was to be a stay-at-home wife and mom, and he decided to divorce me, he would have to pay me for 15 years after the divorce settled to equate to my lack of work history. He was fine with it because here I sit contact napping with our son and the laundry that needs to be folded.
I mean, that's what alimony is for.
But not everybody gets it because there are certain...
Like, Delaware is a no-fault state, so it doesn't matter if you cheated or, I don't know, it doesn't matter why you're getting the divorce. But I don't know if you can get alimony here or not. I'm not sure. Because
I think
it's a no-fault state.
In the state of Georgia, and if anybody's an attorney that's listening, I think you have to be married 10 years to qualify for that.
Okay, I know someone, you and I have a mutual person who was not married for 10 years and got alimony.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know who the person is. I think that that's a great contract to have and not to depend on the state's laws. Like, if you are going to...
Do you know if that would hold up in court? Like, if they're getting divorced because it was an agreement signed while they were married?
Oh, well, but so is a post-nuptial agreement. Like, if it's an agreement and it's a legally binding contract, yeah, it's going to uphold.
But do they have to go? Just asking for the person who wrote this in. Can you clarify if this was just like you and him, there was no witnesses, or is this a situation where you like literally had it notarized, or did you have an attorney? Like, I think people don't realize how fairly, in terms of like how expensive lawyers are, if you already have like what you want to do and you want to just have it, what is the word I'm looking for? Legalized. Thank you. I was going to say legified. Legalized, it's fairly affordable to just go to a lawyer and be like, here, this is what we want to do. And you're just doing that one thing with an attorney. Like, did you go through an attorney? Did you go through a notary? Is it just you two? Because I don't know how that would hold up.
I think if it's notarized, I'm pretty sure, because if you've gone in front of a notary, I think you can, like, even a will is like
if you
recognized with a notary.
You create your own will and then you take it to a notary to be notarized, that would hold up?
Yeah.
Well, everyone should do that then, because I think it's like less than $20 to go to a notary.
Yeah. So I think that's great though, because, I kind of like struggled a little bit when I was staying at home with Jackson and had that period of time that was a couple of years that Will was, post-college, starting his career, and he was out having adult interactions with people all day, every day, networking, going to be able to lay groundwork at one job to be able to move to another. Yep. While I'm at home, like changing diapers, cleaning, taking Jackson to all of these like little classes, whatever. Yeah, I think that I don't know if entitled is the word, but if that's an agreement that you've made that you're not going to work and you're going to forego that amount of time in a career, you should be paid back to some extent, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you did the brunt of the child care and the caretaking and the household stuff. They're half his children. So now if we're separating, what about half my life that I gave up for you and our children?
Yeah. And I also wonder if there's any type of stipulation in this contract, because like sometimes in like pre and post nuptial agreements, it's like this is like null and void if like infidelity or whatever. Like I wonder if there's any type of like sub clause in there.
I will be, like if she cheats.
She cheated,
like, Yeah, that would be, I'm curious to know. We need an update. We need a follow-up on this. All right, for foul play. Oh, this is a long one. A little backstory. So I met this guy 15 plus years ago at my best friend's house when we were teens. We were into each other, but he was older, so we both knew it wouldn't work out back then and decided to date other people. Fast forward to summer of 2022, we got in touch with each other again, and I was in awe that my crush from 15 plus years ago wanted to actually attempt this dating thing. So we started hanging out pretty frequently, and one thing led to another. Next thing you know, we were both hooking up on the reg. I had an 8-month-old baby at the time, and I was breastfeeding. I told him I was really self-conscious about leaking milk everywhere, and he said he understood. Well, one night we went out for drinks and ended up back at his place. This was only the third or fourth time we've hooked up. Anyways, he starts to suck on my nipples and mid-sex says, "Oh my God, milk is coming out." I was so embarrassed that this was happening and I couldn't control it. So I said, "Oh, okay, let's stop." He said it's fine because it tastes good and continues to suck my milk out. I'm like, "Okay, you like what you like." He proceeded to kiss me, or so I thought. He proceeded to kiss me, or so I thought. He actually spit the milk into my mouth and held his lips against mine until I had swallowed it. I wanted to gag. Warm, watery liquid from my nipples. Gross. I don't know how babies do it. I'm into some kink, y'all, but that was too much for me. Let's just say we only hooked up 2 more times after that because I was mortified about what happened. So I finally called it quits because his dick game was not worth that freak shit. Okay, that wouldn't really gross me out because it's from my body. It's the fact that he did that without my consent that would really piss me off.
Well, and also, even if it's from my body, like the fact that someone like sucked it out of my nipple and then they swapped spit with my breast milk and then spit it in my mouth, I'm good on that. Like, no.
No,
like, that's
absolutely the fuck not.
That's not a thing. Do want to say, and I don't know if you had experience with this at all, but I started lactating like very, very early on in pregnancy, like 18 weeks. Like I would get in the tub at night. I took a bath like every night that I was pregnant, and I would get in the tub, and when it would get, the water would be like really hot and warm. So I guess it would like stimulate it, and it would just like start pouring out. Like I had a ton of breast milk, and I was always like so afraid that it was like if Will and I had sex or anything, like it was going to like shoot him in the eye or something.
Not me purposely shooting my spouses in the eye. But no, I didn't have that. I had to take like supplements to produce enough milk, which I did all year that I breastfed Lincoln. So that never happened to me. I did lactate a little tiny bit at the end of my pregnancies, but I never. That's crazy.
Oh,
so
no.
that would have been something that could have happened to you. I mean, not the kissing and spitting it into your mouth part, but it could have happened, I guess, if you were lactating that early.
Like I know you've talked about how you like very much love nipple play.
Mm-hmm. Does it make you uncomfortable?
No, not at all. Like I was going to say that I'm not going to say like if I like it or not, but like I do. I'll just say that.
Okay.
I don't know that I would be okay with someone sucking my nipples knowing that I had breast milk in there though.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Like I think that's a kink that like I'm not going to get behind. And for someone to say, "Oh my God, milk is coming out," like, no, you're coming out.
Yeah, no.
Like at the point
you're coming out.
Yeah, like no, that's not
a thing.
That's not a thing. I also would be mortified, and also if this happened and his dick game was weak, then yeah, that's an immediate no. Need to ask you though, is it like a lot of times to say that you hooked up with someone, because she said this was only the 3rd or 4th time that we had hooked up. Do you feel like that's a lot or a little? I feel like that's a lot.
No, I don't feel like that's a lot. Because an old friend of mine once told me you give them like 3-4 tries before you call it quits, because, sometimes there's nerves or drinking involved. And so, by the third, 4th, 5th time, you should be getting comfortable with the other person to hook up. So I don't think that that's a lot.
I would have to be like committed to be like giving it a 3rd or 4th or whatever shot.
Like you're hopeful that this is gonna.
Yeah. Like
okay.
I'm going to immediately be pissed off if it's not.
Okay. Like I say by the 3rd time, the first 2 times, maybe a little nerves, drinking or whatever. The 3rd time, if it's going to go somewhere or not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't blame her. She sounds like they've only hooked up like a handful of times.
We actually talked about the hookup culture on Southern Tea this week.
And it's wild out there, huh?
Yeah. Like it's wild. It's very wild, and I'm not a fan. Okay. Next foul play.
Okay, hey ladies, I absolutely love and adore you both and live for the foul play stories. This story is one that I forgot about but was just recently reminded of when I came home to visit my mom. As soon as we started talking about it, I knew it had to be shared with y'all. I was about 17 when this occurred and still die when I think about it. We had taken a family trip to the Keys in Florida. I had never been to a tropical beach before this, so it was super exciting to be there. We were a few days into the trip and everything was going okay, but I hadn't been to the ocean yet. So that night, my aunt and I decided to go skinny dipping. The following day, I woke up covered in a rash. I'm talking everywhere and even worse on my face and neck. We finally got home and I asked my mom for some rash cream to put on it, hoping it would go away fast. Keep in mind, this is the week before my senior pictures, so I was stressing about this rash. She told me to check in the medicine cabinet for quote unquote creamy substance. In my oblivious teenage state, I grabbed the first thing I found and smeared it all over my face and neck and continued to do this day and night for about a week. After it had cleared up, about a month went by and I was telling my mom and grandma about this cream being so magic. My mom asked me to show her what I was using since the rash cream was still in the medicine cabinet. Confused, I went to grab the tube only for them to reveal I had been using hemorrhoid cream on my face the entire time. Yep, I had been using asshole cream on my face and was swearing by it to friends and family for weeks. Needless to say, I double check every label before I use something and know for future reference that that shit works super well.
Wait.
I love that for her.
I told you about the time that I found that hemorrhoid cream like in my college car from where I had my windows tinted and it was like in the console. And I like called the man.
I don't remember.
I called the man and cussed him out. I was like, why the fuck is your butthole cream like in my vehicle? Like that's just like so weird. But like what causes people to have hemorrhoids? Like I know you can get one if you like have a baby or something, but like is it just like the turds are too big that it like causes a rupture?
No.
Like what happens?
So I've never had one, but I think from my understanding is like if you are pushing, if you're constipated and you're pushing, you're don't quote me on this. I'm no fucking doctor, but I think you're like breaking blood vessels that like fill up. So it's almost like kind of like a pimple is a clogged pore, right? But I think a hemorrhoid is like you're pushing, you break the blood vessels and it creates like a bubble that has like blood in it. I don't quote me on that. I don't fucking know.
Okay, it says hemorrhoids, also called piles, are swollen veins in your anus and lower rectum, similar to varicose veins. They can develop inside the rectum, internal hemorrhoids, or under the skin around the anus, external hemorrhoids. Nearly 3 out of 4 adults will have hemorrhoids from time to time. But like, is that
3 out of 4?
Yeah, like that's a lot of buttholes to be just like having fucking hemorrhoids just like falling out.
No, my friend texted me not that long ago and she was like, girl, I have an external hemorrhoid that is literally literal hell. She was like, it's the most painful thing that she's ever been through.
But like, did she tell you why she got it?
She said she didn't know, which maybe she was straining while she was pooping. I don't know.
No.
And then I had another friend who texted me about her, why my friends tell me about their hemorrhoids. I don't know, but that just explains to you guys how close we all are. My other girlfriend was like, that she had a hemorrhoid, but like it went away, but like the skin was still there. So like it was a deflated hemorrhoid on her butthole.
Oh no, she's got to get that cut off. Like, I don't think that you can just like have it. That would look like a dingleberry.
Are you going to turn around and like spread your asshole for a doctor? Because I'm not.
Yes, absolutely. You would spread your asshole for someone to think it was a dingleberry hanging out if you were having sex with them. So like, why would you not go to a medical provider and be like, can you cut this
remove
off?
This deflated hemorrhoid.
Like that's not that. Is she sure it's literally not a dingleberry? Like that's not a thing.
No, it was not a dingleberry.
It's like not a thing. Like, and
I'm going to text my friends and be like, hey y'all, I talked about your hemorrhoids on Coffee Combos podcast. And they're going to be like,
but like, haven't you seen those Preparation H wipes?
No.
It's basically, and like, I think Preparation H is what you like put on hemorrhoids, but they have it at the store. So I'm thinking that like a lot of people must get them. I just wonder
3 out of 4.
Why people are straining so hard to get
They're not
shits
taking
out.
Probiotics. Everyone needs to take a probiotic.
Literally, if we've said anything good ever on this podcast, like take a probiotic. If you're a woman listening to this podcast and you do not take a probiotic, like immediately start. And yeah, that's really all the shit that I have to contribute to you guys' life today.
Okay. Well, I'm happy that I'm back, and I'm happy that we got to catch up on Coffee Combos.
Me too. If you guys have not followed us on at Coffee Convos Podcast on Instagram, make sure you follow us over there for Coffee Convos Cooks with, not telling you who with. If you have not subscribed to the show, you can do that by searching the Purple Podcast app, type Coffee Convos, click subscribe, click the 5th star, leave us a written review. You can find us from any podcast app, wherever you get your podcast, always first at Podcast One. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
All month long on Pluto TV, stream the biggest Tyler Perry movies free. Watch your favorites like Medea's Witness Protection and Medea's Big Happy Family. Join Tyler Perry as he goes on a couples retreat with Sharon Leal in Why Did I Get Married? Or Idris Elba and Gabrielle Union in the Tyler Perry directed film Daddy's Little Girls. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies and TV shows. Available on live and on demand. Download the free Pluto TV app on all your favorite devices and start streaming now. Pluto TV. Drop in, watch free.